Hello and welcome to the show. I think a lot of business owners today have accepted that in today's business climate anyway, most of us have to produce a lot of online content because that's the chief way that we're going to be discovered by lots of folks. Even if it's not the chief way that we're going to be discovered by people, by the things we put out on the blog post or the things we put out on Instagram and social media, it's something that we should do because whatever organic traction we can get is a plus, and also because for some of us, the things that we put out on social media is a good way to have a portfolio handy so that you can show people. You don't have to carry your body of work with you all the time. Because in the beginning, for my wedding photography practice, I used to carry hard copies because I was of the opinion that stuff looks better when it's in print, and so I had bound books that I used to show everyone. But after a while, it just became a whole lot more practical to have stuff available on Flickr. Flickr was one of the photo galleries that we had at the time. 10 years ago, back when I started in the wedding photography business. So there was Flickr. I can't remember what other services they were, but it was just a lot more useful, a lot more handy to have stuff on Flickr, so that when you're with potential clients, you guys can have that conversation. This is what we do. This is how we can help. This is the kind of storyline that we can craft. There was also Vimeo, so we used to use Vimeo then to host our wedding videos so that we can have samples right there. So that way, no matter what time of the day it was, if anyone called, we could take a meeting and we would have samples to show them. So these are lots of the benefits and reasons why in today's business climate, all of us have to produce online content. Okay, well, not like we have to produce online content, because there are people who build successful businesses without producing any online content. But these are some of the reasons why it would help if you are producing some kind of online client. So we do this for all these other reasons, and then also to remain top of mind with clients, because for people that we've done business with in the past, it's a good way for them to see us, to remember us, that, oh, okay, these guys are still in the business. These are the kind of stuff that they're putting out. And so you remain top of mind, so that if anybody hits them up to say, do you know anybody that can do this, that can do this, that can do that, then your name will be one of those names that they'll remember to put out there, because they've seen your stuff and that you're still active and you're still doing good work. So yeah, it's a good way to seek out potential customers, and it's a good way to remain top of mind with people that we've done business with in the past. Now, if we don't put off stuff all the time or routinely, then our social media assets and our online accounts are going to be boring, and they're going to be irrelevant. That's, if we don't put up, samples of what we've done and things like that. So if we're not doing that, then, we'll be limited to stuff like putting up company news, product news, features and updates, because those are also other things that people share on their social media handles. Like one of the tech hubs in Abuja that I've been hanging out with recently, we're trying to put together a couple of stuff, and when things are done in the pipeline, I will be sure to let you guys know. I know it's not Sea Builders. Another one that I've been trying to plan a few things with. I'm not going to preempt stuff that we have in the pipeline, but anyway, basically, so apart from putting out all the new stuff that they have and things that they're working on, they also put up company news, product updates, that they've been given this government award, or they have a new CEO and blah blah blah. So if we're not putting up the kind of content that will help us to attract and look for new business, then this is the kind of stuff that we're going to have on our social media, company news and product updates. We have a brand new CEO. Now, it's good to communicate that you have a brand new CEO, but the thing is, your brand new CEO is probably not inspiring for potential customers to interact with or to engage with you. So putting all these company updates, product updates, these are new features, this is our new CEO, stuff like that, that's not engaging enough for potential customers to interact with. So we have to be putting different kinds of content. Now, because we have to put out content, assuming that you've accepted all the premises that we've run through so far, lots of people assume that the content we put out there should have great production value. Should have high production value, because they want to put great content out in the space. Now, what does high production value mean? High production value is basically it's just the idea that the content produced is glossy, it's well executed, and it's very professional. So that's the bar, that's the level of content that most people are aiming for when they put stuff out over on Instagram, on the website, on YouTube. They want something that has high production value. It looks like it was well produced, well executed. It's glossy, seems professional, seems expensive, has a nice touch. Now, the thing is, when it comes to traditional media, TV, radio, and stuff like that, yes, the goal was actually to have something with high production value, because if it didn't, it would come across as sloppy and not professional. So, for television, it would be a shame to put out an advertisement over the TV if you didn't produce it well, if it wasn't written well, and if it wasn't well scripted. That would just be a dang shame. Would also be the same thing to put out bad material over the radio if you had poor voice talent, if you had poor voice acting, poor scripting, things like that, or if the execution was poor in any way. So now, in both cases, it would have been bad. Also, would have been bad if for TV or radio you didn't have good calls to action in the material. And for those of you who've been listening for a while, you know what a call to action is. But for the newbies, if this is your first time, a call to action is basically just the next step that you want the clients to take whenever you put out content. So that's a good idea to have. Whenever you put out something, you want them to take the next step. So you put out content. It's like what YouTubers do. They put out a video and they say like, subscribe, or share. So that's their call to action. Some other people put out stuff and they say call 080 blah 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 for a 50% discount. That's the next step. And there are different kinds of call to actions that you can put out. So for traditional media, it had to have high production value, and you needed to have a clear next step. You needed to have a good call to action. But do these rules apply when we're talking about new media, social media, the new media landscape? Well, the good news is the new media landscape is actually much more forgiving. So because of that, you don't have to execute things with such high professional flourish. It doesn't have to be that precise or technically on point. Especially in situations where the business owners or members of the staff are going to be engaging with audiences routinely. So that's the reason why I can put out this podcast without high production value, editing, removing all the coughs, the ums and the ahs and everything, and not having the high-end microphone. Because when it comes to podcasting, people are here for the content, so it's a whole lot more forgiving, and you guys are not going to mind that I don't have a good microphone. So excuse me, or that I have to clear my throat every once in a while, or that I'm recording with a cold like today. And yes, in case you guys are wondering, yeah, the cold is still here, so I'm not yet back. I'm not yet in tip-top shape. So things don't have to be. It doesn't have to have high flourish when it comes to the media landscape today, especially where, like I said, you're the business owner or your members of staff are engaging with the public. So people are not going to see my videos on Instagram or on TikTok, and because they have low production value, folks are not going to be particularly miffed about it, because they expect that if the business owner, the face behind the business, that's me or any of our associates, they expect that if they see us, that it's not going to have high production value or flourish anyway, that we're just going to be there and we're going to be authentic. In quotes, that's the word that people use these days. Everything has to be authentic. So a certain level of authenticity and low production value is expected. So luckily for us, we don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of naira on the cameras, the lights, the microphone, the editing software, and stuff like that. So long as we're aiming to put out things over on Instagram, what else? LinkedIn, what other social, Facebook. Well, I hear that Facebook is for old folks these days. So, yeah, we don't need to shove out all that time and all that money. So, let's assume that a customer has an inquiry about an order and he sends you guys a direct message over on Instagram. It's okay if you respond or a staff member responds to the video that is helpful and relevant, even if the video was not shot with the latest iPhone, and even if the video was not shot with the greatest camera, and even if the video was shot when the person was out and about. I mean, so long as, the face was visible, the lighting was okay, and the audio was great. So long as that video was helpful and relevant to the inquiry or relevant to whoever it is that has been reaching out to your business, as far as they're concerned, that video, that post, that tweet, that whatever it is that you did is absolutely fine. It doesn't need to have high production value. Also, the customer is not going to be bothered in this case if it was a video that you record or that your member of staff did, if the aspect ratio was off. Aspect ratio is just how do I explain it? Okay, well, it's a video art thing. It's about how the length of the recording space, is supposed to relate to the length of the length and the breadth of the recording space. So whether it's 3 to 4 or 16 to 9, or whether you record it vertical, that's with the video going across like a rectangle, or horizontal. Yeah, that's horizontal. Or vertical, that's with like a rectangle standing up. So customers are not too bothered with these kinds of things, because really, when it comes to the new media landscape, the content is the most important thing, and that is what it is that you have to prioritize. So when it comes to producing content, what should we be aiming for? Our first priority is that the message should be relevant, it should be helpful, it should be insightful, and it should allow the potential customer to get into a deeper relationship with us. So putting out videos and stuff that helps the customer to explore our products or services is also cool too. So yes, the video should help them explore our products and our services. That's kind of what I'm doing on TikTok anyway. Putting out some of the knowledge that I have when it comes to sales and business development. So, but overall, it should be relevant, it should be helpful, it should be insightful. So that's the number one thing that we should be paying attention to. If we're paying attention to that, then the fact that the video doesn't have high production value is okay. So for those of you wedding planners who worry about getting the best B-roll from the videographer showing your work, I mean, if you can get that, that would be fine. That would be nice. But let's assume that you don't have enough money to pay videographers to get that for you, that B-roll for you with every single wedding. What you do with your phone actually is fine. It's not the best, it's not perfect, but it's fine for most customers. It'll give a sense that you know what it is that you're talking about, the ideas that you've executed on, and you could also record testimonials, with your bride saying how happy she was with certain aspects of the delivery, things like that. So these are ways that we can get around not having high production value in our video, because we're not going to be penalized by the market. Remember, this is when we're talking about the new media. If you want the stuff to be on NTA News, or if you want it to be on TVC or channels, then you better get that video guy that you've been working with, pay him that money so that he gets you nice, super polished, sophisticated B-roll, so that when stuff goes up on the entertainment show on Channels TV, or that weekend show that they have on NTA, things are going to look just right. And it's also the same thing with you wedding photographers. Polish photos when you can, but reels that are showing behind the scenes and stuff like that are also not a problem. What some people do is some reels showing behind the scenes, and then at the end they put the finished glossy image, and that's not a problem at all. But it doesn't have to be high-end production from beginning to the end. Now, another thing that we should be paying attention to is we have to reduce friction in the process of creating our content, because creating content is a very hard thing to do, especially if you're going to be doing it regularly, every day, every other day, every week, or every couple of weeks. So if you're insisting on high production value, then it's going to make the job a whole lot harder, and it might seem like you now have a second job. So your first job is planning weddings, and your second job is shooting high-end videos, recording high-end videos, editing high-end videos to put them up, and it makes the job a whole lot difficult. And this is one of the reasons why people fall behind when it comes to posting on Instagram, TikTok, and stuff like that. So sometimes it's not that you don't have the ideas, it's just that you have the ideas, but you don't have the money to do the high production value, and so you're going to do it yourself, and then now it takes too much time, and you're spending 45 minutes to make a 1 minute reel, and then after a while you're like, I beg, I spent 45 minutes yesterday, 45 minutes today, I'm going to spend 45 minutes tomorrow, and you just think about it, that how am I going to spend 3-4 hours and then only produce videos that are 1 minute, 3 or 4 videos that are 1 minute and are going to they have a low shelf life and they're going to disappear anyway. Should I be investing that much time in it? So those are some of the things that make it difficult for us to continue with this job of producing content. So not worrying about the production value, how glossy, how professional everything is, reduces the friction in the process. So for me, for the TikTok videos that I put out and the Instagram videos, I sit down in the car and it's one take, 1 minute, sometimes 45 seconds, 30 seconds, and then it's done. So for me, it takes 2 minutes tops to make a 1 minute TikTok video or a 1 minute reel, because recording the reel itself is going to take 30 seconds or a minute. And then, of course, the video file is too big, so I have something to resize it to bring it down in megabytes. That takes maybe 1 minute, and then another minute to upload. But bottom line, if I spend a lot of time in creating a TikTok video or an Instagram reel, tops is going to take me 5 minutes to get that 1 minute video done. So I reduce friction in the process, and that's the reason why I'm able to do this thing consistently, almost on a daily basis. And I've been doing so for I can't remember, maybe 2 months or so. Well, at least Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I don't always get to it on weekends. So if we reduce friction in the process, it makes it easier for us to do. So like I said, if the job of producing content gets too hard, most of us won't bother to continue writing the blog posts, recording podcasts, uploading photos to Instagram, hooking up videos on TikTok, Reels, YouTube Shorts. What else? I think Twitter also has some audio thing and some video thing. So if it becomes so much work, we're not going to bother with all these things. So high production value is good, but the thing is, it's expensive in time and it's expensive in effort, and that's friction that most of us have to face. So if you can cut that out, please, then cut it out. Then curation is also an option. Curation is when you don't produce the content yourself, but you find interesting things that other people have created and then you share on your own profile, and then that engages your audience. So that's also another way out of the content thing. So if you want high production value, you either have to take time out to do it yourself to the high standards, or you pay someone else to record it or to write it or to give it that professional polish. So that's the friction that I've been talking about. It's either the hours that you're involving in doing it yourself, or hiring the professional photographers, the videographers, the graphic artists, the visual artists, and stuff like that. So let's reduce the amount of friction in creating good content, and you're going to be able to put out a whole lot more easily over time. So remember, the focus when we start for producing content for business purposes, it should be consistent. Let it be something that you can do repeatedly, whether you're doing on a daily or a weekly schedule, and it should be helpful and relevant to your audience. Don't worry about high production value, because in the early days, what's most important actually is to show up consistently over time. So if you show up consistently over time, but your content is average, that's going to be a whole lot better than trying to do it professional, but then you're doing it professional and you're only posting once a month, or 4 times a year or something. So show up with average content, in quotes, and be consistent with it, rather than showing up with professional content, but then people only see you once or twice a year. Because believe me, with the way the algorithms work, if you're only putting stuff out once every month and someone only sees you once a month, and even at that they don't like your stuff, the chances are when you put out next month's video, they probably might not see it. So you putting out stuff once a month is almost like you only being on Instagram maybe twice a year, really, as far as your potential customers and your audiences are concerned. So let's try and be consistent with it. Let's not worry too much about production value. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. I'll catch you guys at the next recording.